It's now time for The Sit Down with Don Tony.
The Sit Down, where Don Tony talks one-on-one with his followers.
What are you looking at?
About the world of pro wrestling, pop culture, and so much more.
The Sit Down with Don Tony.
And now, your host, Don Tony.
All right, everybody. Good evening. It's Sunday night, January 9th, 2022. Welcome to the Sit Down with Don Tony. Hey, how you doing, everybody? How's your Sunday night going, eh? How you doing, everybody? Yeah, I heard the news. You know, I planned on saying a couple of nice words about Matilda The Hun passing away at 73 years old. Gorgeous ladies of wrestling. Even WWE acknowledged her, which was a nice, very nice gesture. You think David McLean should ever be put in the WWE Hall of Fame, even though he had nothing to do with WWE? I think so. Why not? It put Vern in the WWE. I don't know. But Matilda The Hun, one of my favorites back in the day, gorgeous ladies of wrestling, someone that you really felt would beat the living crap out of you. Do you know, I mean, Spaceballs is in my top 5 all-time favorite movies. I kid you not. Spaceballs, not even a question. Top 5. I don't know if I took the picture. Did I take the picture? Yes, I did. Okay, good. Do you know, somebody told me over the weekend, remember this scene in Spaceballs when the ship is about to explode and the bearded lady that sounded like a man? I never knew that was Matilda The Hun. Dark Helmet. Remember Dark Helmet? Oh my God, Spaceballs. Spaceballs, the lunchbox. Spaceballs, the toilet tissue. Yeah, that's Matilda The Hun. And obviously, Mama's Family, Married with Children. There's a cool picture online of Al Bundy with her, which, it's a shame. She's been ill for a while. She was in a nursing home in California. She set up a GoFundMe page a few years ago. If you go check it out, I contributed to it. She was trying to save her house and medical bills, but it was just too much. It was too much. So I wanted to make mention of her. Then literally minutes ago, we get the passing of, you knew him as Danny Tanner. 65 years old, Full House fame, real name Bob Saget. You know, if you go online, you'll see that he performed, I guess, some stand-up in Florida last night. And at 3 o'clock this morning, he sent a tweet out, just, didn't realize, I read it. He wrote something in the sort that he didn't even realize that he had done 2 hours. He had a blast, and he just finished the tweet by saying, "I love this shit." And sure enough, today, he didn't answer the 4 p.m. call from the hotel. They went in the room, and they found him deceased. Probably no foul play, probably no accidental overdose. This is what I talk about all the time. Tomorrow is never guaranteed. And you look at him, he gained a little weight from his Full House days. I mean, you'll always remember him like this. But still, 65, way too young. Yeah, I don't, Chris, I agree with you. Maybe we're saying that because we always look at him like that. Like Full House, Danny Tanner. Like, there's no way. Yeah, I agree with you. There's probably no way. But, man, if you're going to go, that's why I always say, if I'm going to go, I want it to be in my sleep. That's it. That's it. I don't want any slow, pain-filled, methodical, like, demise of yours truly. I mean, I see what some people go through, with cancer, and it's brutal. I've had family members go through it. I know you all had family members, friends go through it. I had 2 cancer scares the last 2.5 years. Not funny. It's not funny. So 65, man, I tell you, you look at him, and I'm not just saying it because he's a great actor, part of my childhood, but you look at him and you look at his career, and last night he does stand-up, he does a performance that everybody raves about, that he had so much fun that at 3:30 in the morning, he sends out a tweet giving everybody a shout out, finishing up with, "I love this shit." And then you go. I mean, no one wants to go at 65. But man, go out like that. I mean, he must have felt so top of the world at 3:30 in the morning. So rest in peace. I was going to put up some dumb humor. I'm a little nervous about doing this, only because something about Bob Saget that I always associated him with. I don't know. I don't know if I should. Yeah, why not? Oh, you know what? We'll save it for another day. I had a little video clip of something that growing up, I always thought of Bob Saget when I saw a clip of something. So another time. All right. How's everybody doing this weekend? Sunday night. Tomorrow, it's Monday. Back to work. Bash 8. His dad passed at 69 years old, 15 years ago. Wow. My father just celebrated 73 a couple of days ago, January 6th, 73. And my God, it's almost a year anniversary that, he got split wide open with the triple bypass. So that's why I always say, I mean, anybody that tuned into the New Year's Eve episode, yeah, you saw yours truly shed a few tears. That video, I've only watched it twice in my life. And the first time I watched it, I had talked about it in the past, and people off and on are like, "Oh, we want to see the video. We want to see the video. We want to see the video that, that you just lose it." And I waited. But for some reason, I decided to put it on New Year's Eve just as a way to show everyone, you got loved ones out there. Never take tomorrow for granted. Always keep in touch. Always have a good relationship. Always communicate, because tomorrow is never guaranteed. And, I am super, super close with my family, and I wouldn't change that for nothing. So my thoughts and my prayers are with both families, Matilda The Hun and Bob Saget. So brighter news. Shout out to Roger Rubio. Yeah, now people want me to play the video that I wanted to play. He's excited because the 49ers clinched the spot in the playoffs. Good luck, 49ers. Seriously. Me, I'm a Giants fan through and through. But if the Giants aren't going to be in there, as long as it's not the Cowboys or the Jets, I'll root for the 49ers. Chris L., his grandmother just passed away a week ago on his birthday. Jesus. She was 81. 81, look, whether it's 81, 101, 71, you never want to say goodbye. There's never an appropriate time. There's never where you walk away and you're like, okay, that person lived long enough. We always want that one extra day. For me, the hardest thing so far was putting my dog down. And I wish I had that one extra day. That was a nightmare. Ted Turner, not the Ted Turner, similar name. His dad passed at 83. Yeah, I mean, LeDude, his mom is 61 and still rocking it. Good, man. That's awesome. Jets are bad. I know we're going back and forth. You know what? The hell with it. We're not offending no one out there. I got to admit, I was a huge fan of the Love Connection back in the day. We'll be back in 2 minutes and 2 seconds. 2 and 2. In fact, when I used to do my hotline, this is a little true fact. When I used to do my hotline, and we would take like a little break to go pee or to go get something to drink, especially when we went to Fan Talk Live, and Chris Cash would give us, like a couple of minutes break in the middle of the show. I would always say, all right, we'll be back in 2 minutes and 2 seconds. And I remember Chris Cash, the first time I said that, Chris is like, huh? Why 2 minutes, 2 seconds? I said, it's personal. A lot of people didn't know about the Love Connection, but I'm going to show it. I'm not being malice in any way, but there's a reason why I always thought of Bob Saget with the Love Connection. And it's because of this clip. It's a real clip. And that, by the way, it's not the other character in Full House.
Our next guest is originally from Danville, Illinois. He enjoys cold beer and hot music. Says that he and his mom don't see eye to eye on his love life. And he claims that his job has cost him several relationships. Please welcome Robert Faggot. Faggot is rather an odd name.
Yeah, it is an odd name.
Whenever I'd watch like Entertainment Tonight and they would address Bob Saget as Robert Saget, I would always think of that clip. Whenever they would address him as Robert Saget, I would always think of that Love Connection clip. Yeah. It's not making fun or anything like that. Seeing the people laugh in the audience, do that today. Ugh. But, yeah, I think that guy is still alive. Believe it or not, somebody did an interview with him, I think, like 5 years ago, to see what he's up to. But shout out to AS7607. She's chilling tonight. By the way, for everyone who did send me a little something to put something aside for her, I already sent it. For some of you out there, I got your IOUs, just waiting. So what do you all want to talk about tonight? We obviously talked about Bob Saget, Robert Saget. We talked about Matilda The Hun. I got a kick out of this. Check that out. Not only is Brock Lesnar tied now with Steve Austin for most WWE title reigns in history, Brock Lesnar now has a WWE title in the 2000s, the 2010s, and the 2020s. Not bad. 3 different decades. See, some people said Bob Backlund, but that's not the case. Wait a minute. Well, no, because Bob Backlund's first title reign lasted from 78 to 83. If Bob would have lost it sometime between 78 and 80 and then won it back sometime between 80 and 83, then I would say yes. But Backlund technically, he only had 2 reigns. So, yeah, 3 decades. Hey, you want to make me feel old? We're in my 4th decade doing this because I started in 97, the 90s, the 2000s, the 2010s, and the 2020s. I'm in my 4th freaking decade doing this stuff. 4th. By the way, last week I had shouted everyone out if you all knew anyone that designs T-shirts, because quite a few of you out there said, DT, you got to make a 25th anniversary shirt, 25 years of Don Tony. So a lot of you did respond, and I thank you very much. I basically just randomly selected one, and I got in touch with the person. I told them what I would like, and the person is going to make a design up, and we'll see how it goes. If the design is kind of shangada, then I'll reach out to another person, have them make up some artwork. Well, maybe we'll make like 2 or 3 shirts during the year just to celebrate 25 years of doing this. You know me, I'm not big on anniversaries. We never celebrated the 100th show, the 1,000th show, the 2,500 show, but we will have 5,000, I think, by the end of February. So I probably will celebrate number 5,000, because I get a kick out of people out there. Oh, it's my 50th. And you know what? I can't make fun of them because back then, it was cool to know that people supported you. We didn't celebrate it, but it was cool to know that, wow, why are people tuning in? You had 50, you had 100, 200, 400, 1,000. I mean, it gets a little crazy. And to think we're going to hit 5,000. That's why I will never, ever feel guilty when I use the term podfather. And I've said this before. A lot of people say, oh, what's his face? Conrad. He claims he's the podfather. Well, like I've always said with the Italian mafia, there's more than one godfather. There'd be godfathers for multiple families. And sometimes the families would have to get together to discuss problems. So, yeah, there is room for more than one podfather. I have nothing against Conrad. In fact, I'm a Patreon. I'm a Patreon of Conrad's. I've been a Patreon of his for a couple of years now. Still a Patreon now. I don't tune into as many shows as I used to, but I do subscribe to his. I just subscribe to Cornette's Patreon. I'm part of the cult of Cornette. Would you have ever thought that in all this time? Harrisby, you are correct. Triple H has also held the title in 3 different decades. But, Brock Lesnar doing it right now, that's a pretty big deal. It's a pretty big deal. And, it's amazing. Brock is still at the top of his game. I mean, the guy is a monster. He was a monster in 2002. He's a monster now. And I'm telling you, I know we feel bad for Big E, but you just look at business, you look at entertainment, and WWE made the right decision to put the belt on Brock right now. Brock and Roman both being champions at the same time, each one trying to one-up each other, and down the line, each one trying to screw each other. I mean, that's a great storyline. You're not going to tell me that you're not going to do a great storyline because it's the right thing to do. Imagine going to see like one of these Batmans or Furious Fives, or is that a rap group? Whatever it is, and there's like a perfect storyline and they don't do it because it's the right thing to do. Bullshit. Wrestling has got to maximize entertainment value. And yes, you do award people for their hard work and dedication. And, Big E definitely, I'm telling you, Big E will get that championship back. Just not now. And honestly, you want to know something? I think deep down inside, Big E agrees 100% right now of Brock Lesnar being champion. Because you see the strength of that storyline. Now Roman Reigns is going to be on Raw, mostly to mess with Seth Rollins, but we're on the road to WrestleMania. And yesterday when we did the Don Tony show, I threw out 2 match ideas. Roman versus Brock, title for title in Saudi Arabia, along with the Usos versus the Dudleys in Saudi Arabia. I'm not saying they're going to happen, but with Saudi Arabia, these $50 million events, You pull out all the freaking stops. So if there's any place to do title for title, it's not WrestleMania. I say this with the utmost respect. Mike, I'll mention Moose in a minute. Because if you notice, I don't tweet sarcastic shit to wrestlers anymore. As a wrestling fan, yes, there's a lot of things I would love to say. But I usually bite my tongue because they bust their ass for our entertainment. And even when one of them does say something a little ridiculous, let's be honest, Kenny Omega, my dad told me when I was a kid, you don't justify bad behavior with other bad behavior. Hey, Kenny, just because people are acting like troll assholes doesn't mean you do the same. I don't blame him. We all would love to do that, but you got to be bigger than that, better than that. No matter how much someone is a dick and a troll and they don't like you, turn around and accuse some guy of being a pedophile when you have tens of thousands of people liking your stuff. And that's mob mentality. You got to be bigger than that, sir. But I didn't say anything online. I say it here. But anyway, Chris L says he likes Solomonster's idea. Roman caused Brock's the belt versus Lashley. Brock wins the Rumble, faces Roman at WrestleMania. Yeah, we talked about that yesterday. We talked about several scenarios. That was one of them. The thing you got to understand is Saudi Arabia is February 19th. Saudi Arabia is going to be a huge event. I said it last week. I would not be surprised if the Elimination Chamber, if they can afford it, that gets shipped to Saudi Arabia. If they can afford to send that thing to Saudi Arabia, they may do Elimination Chamber there. But, let me explain something. If you really want to do the ultimate trolling, you have Brock lose the belt to Bobby Lashley because of Roman Reigns. Roman screws Brock and Lashley wins. Then you have Brock screw Roman and Seth wins. So you come out of the Royal Rumble with Seth Rollins as the champion and Bobby Lashley is the champion. Then you could do Roman versus Brock in Saudi Arabia with no title on the line. Not for nothing. I don't like that. Title for title is much more powerful. You think the Crown Prince, $50 million? Give me the Roman versus Brock. Well, sir, we're thinking about changing the titles at the Royal Rumble. So, yes, we could do Roman versus Brock, but no titles on the line. No, title for title. For everyone out there that keeps saying Roman versus Brock, title for title at WrestleMania, I know it's a catchy little tweet that'll get you 500 likes, but let me just ask you one simple question. If you say Roman versus Brock, title for title at WrestleMania, what happens to the winner of the Royal Rumble? What happens to the winner of the Elimination Chamber? Now, as I said yesterday, because we went through a lot of scenarios. By the way, I'm a little curious. When we come up with scenarios, does anybody go on other people's podcasts and say, hey, DT came up with this great scenario? I never see that. Even when I lurk, I never see that. I don't know why that is. But when we were talking about scenarios yesterday, I said, if you have Roman still the champion and Brock still the champion, and then Brock wins the Royal Rumble, that's how you could have Roman versus Brock at Mania. The problem is, why would Brock Lesnar want to put his title on the line? I mean, we talked about it yesterday. I mean, there would have to be some dumbness. Maybe Paul Heyman convinces Brock, put it on the line too. And then maybe Paul Heyman screws Brock out of the title. I don't like that idea at all. I wasn't talking about any one specific person here. I'm just making a general statement because there's a lot of people out there that lurk, that don't chat or call in or anything like that. You know, just something I notice. It's all good. It's all good. I don't need the accolades. And honestly, I think a lot of podcasts out there would not even acknowledge it. So even if it was a great idea. See how they're doubling down on the Triple H stuff now? Doubling down based on what? Based on what? We actually brought out print, actual quotes of what he said that coincides with everything that's going down right now. And they're doubling down based on what? Based on hope. Based on hope. Based on desire that WWE, just imagine that. Imagine that you have no proof that WWE looks at Triple H like a clown right now. And you have people out there, writers and shows like this, like, please let it be true. Please let it be true that Vince McMahon is treating Triple H like garbage right now. Please let it be true that Triple H wants to quit WWE. Please let it be true that Triple H wants out of the McMahon family entirely. Please let it be true that when it comes to all the creative and all the executive meetings and this and that, Triple H is out getting everybody water. Please let it be true that they're trying to ruin Triple H's legacy. Please let it be true that they're trying to kill everything that Triple H has created. Why? So they could say, oh, we were right all along. Right about what? Like I said, I trust investors, millionaires and billionaires. I don't like how some of them operate, but I trust them more than I trust a pizza boy who does a podcast. Because if millionaires and billionaires investing in WWE are not questioning it, I'm not going to question it. Am I wrong? Yes, we talked about that yesterday, Mike. We talked about it a couple of weeks ago. WWE and Tony Khan talked to each other about some footage, exchanging some footage, having a AEW contracted wrestler do a couple of interviews for some WWE documentaries coming up. We even thought about, what a lot of others thought about also, Owen Hart. Maybe WWE, with the permission and the blessing of Martha Hart, which would be a little weird. Imagine that. Imagine AEW asking WWE, can we use a little bit of Owen Hart footage, for a tribute? And then WWE says, well, it's up to Martha Hart. And imagine how that awkwardness that Martha Hart would have to sign off on that. I don't know if it's that cut and dry, especially when you talk about all the legalities and the things that have gone on in the past. Bob the Builder, my thoughts about Wrestling with Shadows, one of my favorite wrestling films of all time. Wrestling with Shadows is amazing. It is awesome. That and Beyond the Mat are the 1-2 punch for me. That whole thing, and the funny thing about it is I always said this because I started my hotline in 97. Started my hotline a couple of months before the Montreal Screwjob. And the thing that is so amazing about it, if you go back and you watch Wrestling with Shadows and you think about the times where these film crew guys were in his house and, for whatever reasons, and obviously things changed with the contract and originally signing the deal with WWF, and then Vince reneging on it, telling him if he wants to join WCW, he can. And I say to myself, what if WWF never took back that contract? What would these guys, what would they have been filming? What would they have been filming? Him just swimming in a pool, rehabbing? I got to face The Undertaker next week. Like, you look at the storyline To me, it's a little too convenient. It's like too perfect to end up the way it did. Now, I'm not saying that this was all scripted, but that is the ultimate stepping in shit. Imagine a production company getting permission from WWF to film all this behind the scenes stuff, and it ends up that they capture the whole situation with Brett and the contract negotiations, and then the deal, and then there is no deal, and then sign it with WCW, and then getting screwed over, and then in the back, and they just let them hang out there. Even though the wrestlers and WWF told them stop filming. Okay, they stopped filming. Why are they still hanging out with Bret Hart's wife? Why are they still hanging out with Triple H? Why are they standing outside of Vince's locker room? They're production people. They're not rats. They're not boyfriends, girlfriends, brothers, sisters, husbands, wives, uncles, Make-A-Wish recipients. Why were they just standing there? All right, listen, guys, I know you're filming something, but we got a big problem right now. Stop filming. Okay. Hey, it's supposed to rain tomorrow. Hey, where do you want to go for lunch tomorrow? Why were they still standing there? How come nobody says, hey, the fuck out of here? We're not filming anymore. It's over. Up. Go back to the hotel. Get out of here. Oh, they just stood there. Bret Hart's wife, Hunter, you knew all this. Turn around. What the fuck you doing here? Get out of here. Am I wrong? Did anybody ever think of that? They weren't buddies. They weren't drinking pals. These were production people. Stop, film, stop. We got a big problem here. Stop. There's big fighting, this and that. Okay. And they're just standing there. Come on. Think about that. Little things like that. Kenny Salerno's like, who cares? Well, you got to ask yourself, just in production and common sense, like a little too convenient in some of those moments. Something to think about. But that documentary was awesome. I have it on DVD. I still have my original VHS tape. I originally had a poster that I was going to use to put in the back, but it was just a little too big. Wrestling with Shadows was awesome. If you've never watched that, go out of your way and watch it. Go out of your way. By the way, shout out to everybody who is tuning in on the other platforms right now. If you want to post any questions and you're not in the YouTube chat, I could see the other social media platforms and I can still post your questions. So, Sidney Poitier. He was in his mid-90s. God bless him. He passed away as well. As far as 700,000 with the virus, yeah, that's what's going on with Omicron. It's a lot more. I said like 2 weeks ago that it was over 1 million 2 weeks ago. It's millions of people. There's a lot of people who are at home doing the at-home tests, testing positive, that aren't going to a doctor. They have very little symptoms. They just wait it out. So think of all the people who are not going to the doctor that are not being counted in the numbers. There's a little hope that New York may have plateaued already. If you look at the last couple of days, it's starting to feel like it's plateaued. And I'm still sticking with, I think by spring, there's going to be especially the Omicron now is like 97% of all the COVID. That is awesome because Omicron, is in many ways a lot lighter than Delta. Look at Roman Reigns and Seth Rollins. That's why the thing yesterday with Cody is a little baffling. It just goes to show you with AEW storylines that they like milking things a couple extra weeks because there's no reason if Cody, even if he did test positive, if it's Omicron and he's symptom free by next week, there's no reason why he couldn't have returned. So they did this interim title thing So they could do title for title. If you tuned into our show yesterday, we called that before Battle of the Belts even went down. The only reason why they did the interim championship is because they didn't want Sammy to lose to Dustin. And by Sammy not losing to Dustin, and Dustin, as much as I love Dustin Rhodes, when you look at the rankings, had no business being in that match. Should have been Scorpio Sky. It could have been a lot of other people. Dustin, it made no sense. The only way it would have made sense is if Dustin defended Cody's title. And they didn't want to do that because they didn't want Dustin to pin Sammy. Period. We said that yesterday morning when everybody else is like, we're doing an interim championship. Oh, yeah, well, that's why. It's not rocket science. Steve and Barbie. Do I think things will shut down again wrestling-wise? Oh, I expect some events on occasion to be canceled, no question. You got to understand, you got to look at it like this, man. If you are fully vaccinated and you are boosted, it is just, you look at the charts. When you see people, in the hospital, it's like this, unvaccinated, and you see vaccinated, it's like this. So if venues continue insisting that you have to show proof of vaccination, and by now they should also show proof of being boosted or having 2 shots, even if you do get Omicron, look at the CDC guidelines. A lot of people don't realize this. If you have Omicron and you have no symptoms, all they recommend for the most part is you wear a mask. I mean, it's wise to self-isolate until you're negative. But if you are showing no symptoms, as long as you wear a mask, you should be good to go. So, yeah, I mean, if you're fully vaccinated and you're boosted, it doesn't necessarily stop the spreading right now, but it minimizes the amount of virus. That's what I have been seeing more than anything else. So, no, I think for some wrestling companies that draw very, very little, I think they're the ones that would be in the most jeopardy of a show being postponed. Because if they're not getting great ticket sales, and you have Omicron being a big problem, they probably would postpone. They would use the Omicron to say, look, due to the current situation with Omicron, we feel that it's safer for the fans and for the wrestlers that we postpone the event for a month or 2. And that'll be the statement. And in reality, ticket sales are soaring. As long as they insist on proof of vaccination, they ain't canceling nothing. So they were never, ever going to go back to Thunderdome. You remember those people that were really teasing? This is before Omicron. They were teasing that WWE is preparing to go back to Thunderdome. That was so horrible because they're trying to do that doom and gloom clickbait. And as much as I enjoyed doing Thunderdome, I was on Thunderdome, 12 times? And look at what WWE did for me the last 3 Thunderdomes. Right center behind the announcer's desk. For some reason, the last ever match, I don't have the pictures handy, but you all saw it. The last ever match of Thunderdome, wasn't it Rhea Ripley? Or it was either Rhea Ripley or Charlotte Flair getting a pin. They might have even faced each other. And for some odd reason, I don't think I have it. I'll see if I do. But for some odd reason, WWE takes no, this is not it. They take my image from, here's the announcer's booth. Is this the announcer's booth? I don't know which picture this is. My pictures are very, very small right now. Is this one of them? No, that's not even me. I don't even know. That might have just been when Jimmy Smith debuted. But I was behind the announcer's booth, And the last ever match in Thunderdome, they put me right smack in the middle of the camera and ringside for one match. It was just like the weirdest thing. But I still remember the kind gesture. If for those that are newer to the shows, I did Thunderdome 12 times. And, I was the one that always had the mask on with the deli hat. I was wearing the Mets jersey. So they had the row of people behind the commentator's desk. They're all wearing Raw shirts. So I had joked on the show. I said, oh, put me back there. I said, send me a Raw shirt. I'll put it on. Put me back there. 48 hours later, I get an email alert that I have a package on the way from WWE. And I'm like, I didn't order nothing. And sure enough, I got a DM, the person who hooks me up sometimes with some autographs and things like that. He says, look out for your mail. And sure enough, I get the mail and they sent me a Raw shirt. I don't have the pictures handy. Right now, I know some people are like, thank God. Yeah, I don't think this is the picture. So another time we'll look at it. Another time. You know me, I'm always persistent. Oh, see, I'm always persistent. I have hundreds of pictures in front of me, but for some reason, I always luck out. There you go. Yeah. Who was she pinning that time? Was she pinning Charlotte? I don't remember her pinning Charlotte. No, I don't think she was pinning Charlotte. But yeah, they took me from the announcer's booth, and just for that match, that's the last ever match that they had in Thunderdome, they put me at ringside. And I was like, wow, that was a pretty freaking cool thing. Seriously. Oh, was it Lana? Really? Wow. Did not realize that was Lana. Was that Natty? Yeah, Ned does look like Natty. Yeah, it makes more sense. It's Natty. Yeah, it's Natty. The more I think about that now, is Natty. But it's look, I mean, there's no secret that I have had some issues with WWE in the past. They sued me one time, which led to me buying the trademark for ECW back in 2005. I still have the lawsuit papers. I showed it to you all about a year and a half ago, but, I will say this, and this is why I always give a little bit of a break for WWE. On Thursday show, Q&A with Don Tony, we went on Wayback Machine, and I was showing a couple of articles that I wrote. And by the way, believe it or not, do you remember when we were looking for the Feinstein video? Remember that Predator stuff? And you remember we were on Wayback Machine and I said, oh, the video doesn't work. I thought the link still worked on my website. Believe it or not, everyone, it worked, because after the show was over, I'm looking at my inbox. No joke. Look what I found.
And remember this man? We originally thought his name was Timothy, another local man looking for a young girl. But he turned out to be this man, Robert Feinstein, a Langhorne businessman who promotes wrestling events. He has his own website with plenty of...
Now, it's been proven that they set him up. And not only that, a lot of the chat transcript was finagled with. So we're not going to play the whole clip, but it was pretty wild that the Wayback Machine links still work. That's crazy. No, dude, seriously. I want to make it clear. I made a shirt about Feinstein. I don't know if you all remember. I have a picture of it somewhere. It was a black shirt with a little white hole, and it said, "This is your ass." And then on the back of the shirt, it said, "This is RF's ass," because he was going to go to jail. I thought the guy was guilty. And then little by little, things started to come out, and you started to realize that, no, he really did not do. I mean, he was set up. They fucked with the chats. I'm a little surprised that Rob never sued the producers, and he's not the only one. And trust me, I am not condoning any of that shit. That is disgusting. That is creepy shit. And anybody, I don't even, that's why I got so mad at Kenny Omega earlier today. I mean, I don't blame him for being upset. He was just praising Riho for her match against Britt Baker, and he gets all the trolls. So, you got to be better than that. And he got some real hardcore assholes saying some horrible stuff. And he got into a little verbal back and forth with one guy, and the guy, no matter how much of a dick that he was, he's got a picture of him holding it his little daughter, and Kenny Omega tells him he's a pedophile and that the authorities are going to get you and this and that. When you're you and me saying that, that's different. When it's Kenny Omega that has hundreds of thousands of people following him, and you make a claim like that against someone, man, that's crazy shit, especially that he's the executive vice president of this company. He's got to be better than that. It is totally unfair to see the crap that Kenny Omega goes through on social media. It is unfair. But again, like my dad always taught me when I was a kid, you don't justify bad behavior with other bad behavior. Just because someone else does something stupid doesn't mean that you have the right to do the same thing. You're just as stupid. In fact, my father would say that you're even more stupid because the first person that did it was stupid and it was stupid. So the fact that you did it afterwards, you knew it was stupid and you did it anyway. Sometimes you do something stupid and you don't think it's stupid at the time, and then you realize you made a mistake. But then you do something stupid after somebody does something stupid. Oh, don't touch the hot stove. You're going to burn your hand. Ah! Uh-huh. And then I go touch the hot stove. Yes. I definitely do not want to leave out. Hold on. I got to just reset my super chats here. For some reason, I accidentally shut it down before. I know here it is. Somebody had sent something in about Bob Saget. Yes, we talked about Bob Saget earlier. Shout out to, I think it was King Bling Blah. King Bling Blah. Good guy. Bob Saget passed away. Yeah, we talked about him earlier. 65, man. Too young. To think that, I mean, I remember when I was in my early 30s. Now I'm thinking to myself, Jesus Christ, in less than 20 years, I'm going to be 65. That's nuts. Good guy, very well liked, always will be remembered as Danny Tanner. And if you're going to go out, you do a performance in Florida, you do 2 hours, not realizing it, you knock it out of the park. Everybody's raving about it. You're up at 3:30 in the morning and you go on Twitter and you just thank everybody and you just leave it by saying, I love this shit. And you go to sleep and you don't wake up. As terrible and horrible as that is, you go out on a high note like that. I mean, nobody wanted to see him die, but he went out on a high note. So, but rest in peace, Bob Saget. Absolutely. If you want, you can rewind the show and you'll see a little bit more. We talked about him earlier. Well, Chris, we don't know that he died happy. Trust me, even if I, had amazing sex or I had the most unbelievable show, or if I managed a wrestling event again, or I just went to a party and everybody celebrated me and I came home and felt like $1 million. If I'm laying in bed, happy as a pig in shit, and then all of a sudden I start feeling something, I don't think Bob Saget was laying in the bed. It's like, I don't think he was happy. If he was awake, I don't think he was happy. Yeah, there's been a lot of tragedies going on. A lot of tragedies. But I didn't watch Fuller House. She did, and I would hear it in the background, and it felt like there was a lot of forced laughter thrown into like the sound the sound bar or the soundboard. Yeah, soundboard. It just seemed like a lot of forced laughter. A lot of old TV shows would do that. I always remember, don't ask me why, I never liked the show, The Brady Bunch. I don't know if I liked it as a kid simply because the girls wear mini skirts. I was the same age, even I was actually younger, to be honest. Yeah, I was much younger. But I never liked that show. But one thing I always remember about that show and The Odd Couple and shows like that is that sometimes they were performed in front of a live audience, and a lot of times it was just a sound bar because you would hear the same. There was this one goof that must have been like 70 years old, and he'd have this very unique laugh about him. And every clip, and it's the same exact clip. It's not like he's just laughing his ass off during the show. They just kept hitting the button. I don't like when they piped in stuff. Hated it. You know when I started binge watching again? I mentioned this, I think, New Year's Eve. Mr. Bean and Benny Hill. My God, Benny Hill, Jesus. If he did that shit in 2021, oh my God. I kid you not, back when I used to hang out with my friends, when we used to watch Benny Hill in the 90s, we would always go up to one of my little friends, say hello to my little friend. I had my friend Mike, that was about 5'3", and every time we would go over to my friend Joey's house, you'd have somebody, because like the little old man, the bald head, they go, that shit hurts. You could probably hear it on the microphone. We would just slap his head like Benny Hill. Loved Benny Hill. Benny Hill was awesome, man. I have every episode in my collection somewhere. So are we doing calls again, or are we just doing live chat? I'm fine either way. If anybody wants to call in, just let me know in the live chat and I'll open the lines. I mean, because I do get a lot of feedback from y'all, and a lot of people are like, look, whether it's live calls or live chat, as long as you're talking to us, not at us, because there's a big difference. All right, so, yeah, so you know what we'll do? We'll open the phone lines in 10 minutes. How's that? We'll open the phone lines in 10 minutes. Yeah, because right now we're at 53 minutes, so minus the intro, 10 minutes, and then we'll do some calls. We'll chat back and forth. Crazy Shem, well, the toll-free number, I don't know if you could see this. The toll-free number, the 833 number, that is toll-free. Are you able to call a toll-free number? I mean, if I needed to, I still have my Skype account. I never canceled it. Every month, Skype charges me like $3. I haven't used Skype. I mean, I had to use Skype years ago because of my former co-host, because he only used Skype. But I haven't used Skype in God knows how many years. I just pay $3 a month just to keep it. So if people out there really can't call that toll-free number international, and you really need me to reactivate Skype, I have it. Like I said, I don't even have the software installed. I'll do it. I don't mind. Puffy89 with the 5 spot. Thank you very much, my friend, for the super chat. What is a guilty pleasure Royal Rumble? Oh, there's only one for me. 1992. I've been asked this question almost every year come Royal Rumble time. My favorite Royal Rumble will always be 1992. I mean, don't get me wrong. When we gave away that Too Cool magazine and the goggles not too long ago, one of my favorite moments ever. I used to be able to do it. Now, if I don't look at it first and I start doing this, it looks like I'm up rocking from the 80s. I'm doing a Texas two-step, like Jonathan Coachman. But there's been some fun moments at the Royal Rumble, but for me, 1992. I watched it about a week ago. Just threw it on. Bobby Heenan, number 3. Ric Flair's called, no, 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 no. And then when Ric Flair won, yes, 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 yes. Oh, is it the Charleston? Okay, so it's the Charleston. I got my dances mixed up. Yeah, I still have AOL. Instant Messenger doesn't work anymore, but I still have AOL. I have my AOL account since like 1993. Too many people that I know have that email address. I'll never close it. I don't care if I have to pay monthly. I'll never close it. I still talk to a boatload of people with my AOL email. I don't use Gmail or other ones. I mean, the only reason why I have a Gmail account is because of your YouTube account, but I use AOL. Still use AOL. Look, I mean, if you ever look, I don't know if I'm, because, you know, I got to be careful sometimes because when I do like live screenshots of things I'm looking at, let me see. Yeah, see, no. I was going to show you a screenshot of my email folders, but yeah, there's some like email addresses showing. I mean, with all due respect, I'm very, very particular about privacy. That's why some of you, when you win multiple contests, someone will be like, "Oh, you have my address again." I'm like, "No, I don't. I deleted it." I don't keep anybody's information because I'm afraid if I ever get hacked, which I've never been hacked, but if I ever got hacked, I don't want anybody's information to get leaked out. I have an Android phone. I have a second phone. I gave out my cell phone number to too many customers, and some customers were abusing the privilege. So I set up a prepaid phone, an Android phone, and I told all my customers, "Oh, if you need to reach me at this number." That battery's been dead for about 6 weeks. So once in a while, I have a customer says, "Oh, I called you on your cell." I'm like, "Oh, I didn't get the message. Oh, sorry." But yeah, I haven't turned that on. I did not see Biden's January 6th speech. I'm not interested in it. January 6th is my dad's birthday, and that's all I will ever think about when it comes to January 6th. Oh, yeah, Dorian, sometimes when I do business and I give my AOL email address, somebody will be like, "Oh, you still have AOL?" I'm like, "Yeah, you know, I've had it my adult life." Yeah, I was thinking about this too, just to show you how crazy this is doing the shows and everything. I figured out in 2 years, I will be able to say that I have done the hotline and the podcasting more than half my life. That's crazy. That's crazy. Never, ever thought that I would be doing this for 25 years. It's interesting. It's interesting. I look back 20, 25 years ago. I look back at, wasn't even social media. It was just message boards for the most part, chat rooms. MySpace came along, but I never ever saw what I see now on Twitter, especially more than anything else. And I've never seen wrestling media have an agenda as bad as this. I mean, I joked about this before. The worst thing that we would get back in the late 90s or early 2000s on wrestling news websites, two things. You would either get a crazy amount of pop-up ads, and PW Insider is the king of that. That's why we always called them PW spyware, because some points back then, people were actually getting viruses from that website. They would have literally 15, just to show you, like, I don't want to criticize them anymore because I really, I'm like past that. But back then you say to yourself, my God, these people are that like fiending for money that you have to have like 12 pop-up ads just to let us know what the matches were on Sunday Night Heat. It was awful. Garbage. But besides the pop-up ads, the worst you would get is a little clickbait on a link. And the one I always told is when they first were doing like a little bit of the roster split, and they would say, "Oh, will Booker T be on Raw? Click here for details." You click on the link, and it would say, "Oh, Booker T's on SmackDown." I mean, that stupid stuff like that. And you would always, at the end of an article, have a one line, and it would always be a clickbait. And if you clicked on it, it'd be a pop-up ad. It would be a bullshit article, and they got a little ad revenue from it. You got caught. But that was it. Now everything is so agenda-based. And like I said, to see what some people are doing, doubling and tripling down, especially on the Triple H stuff, based on no facts at all. Based on if they say it enough and get enough people to say it, then it'll be true. And that is awful. That is awful. Especially that the guy had a major heart issue. A lot more serious than you think. I won't say publicly exactly what I believe it is, because the people who have told me, they said, "Look, don't quote me on it. Not 100% sure, but everybody thinks it's this." And I say to myself, my God, the one thing this man needs right now is love, support, and no stress. Imagine this guy going online, and everywhere he can't even tweet. He can't even tweet. He can't even just give a little thank you to everyone. Thank you for thinking about me, because he'll get flooded with, why don't you just leave them? How could you? They killed your black and gold. They're getting rid of it. There's people just, they don't give a shit about Triple H. They just give a shit about having an agenda and then trying to claim that they were right with that agenda. If they truly cared about the guy, they would not insist that he's a clown. Yes, you are right, Tay Kittle. There's a lot of people with no life. This is their life. This is their life. It's a shame. It's a shame, man. So anyway, I'm going to open the phone lines. I don't expect us to get that many calls tonight because we've been chatting, but I'll leave them open if anybody does want to call in. I have a little bit of the blue background tonight. In fact, I was messing around with this. I'm going to have someone make up this again, but remove that head from underneath. And going to make maybe a little, whose logo I like? I like Renee Young's Oral Sessions. It's very, very clean. The logo's on the top. The bottom is, very, very plain. And I've had so many of you out there tell me like, DT, get rid of, the excess of this. It's not that bad. I don't think it's that bad, but people like, we don't need all of that. So I don't care about Joe Biden. People are asking me about Joe Biden. I don't care about government at all anymore. I used to be so into government, and then I realized that my voice doesn't matter. And then I also realized that even if I talked logical, I would be labeled certain things simply because I took certain viewpoints. And then you realize the corruption on both sides. Then you see, some of the ridiculousness going on. I'm like, you know what? I only care about me, my family, my friends, my hobbies, my health, all of you that I commingle with, whether directly or indirectly, and that's it. That's it. When it's my time to go, it's my time to go. But I have become a very, 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 very selfish person. I don't give a shit about anything other than who and what makes me happy. And I treat people, even strangers, the way I would want to be treated. I act nice, I act cordial, and I hope to get it in return. That's how I go through every day. And that's my life going forward. So whatever happens in government, this and that, honestly, I do keep up with news, but I can give a shit. I don't care who's president. I don't care who's mayor. I don't care who's governor. I hope they do a good job, but I'm not going to, tweet doom and gloom, and I'm not going to lose sleep over it, because what is it going to do? What is it going to accomplish? Media is corrupt. I voted in the election, but I didn't vote for the president. I voted for local government. I didn't vote for the presidency. I left it blank. So, all right, let me open this phone lines. So those are the numbers on your screen, 225-366-8669. Or if you want to call toll-free, 833-366-8686. All I ask, like I said, is just, just keep the calls tight. I know some people, like to stay on 10, 15, 20 minutes, but, there's a lot of people that do sometimes try to call in, and it gets very frustrating when they just keep hitting redial. After 5-10 minutes, they give up. So we'll take a few calls. If we don't get many calls, then we'll just keep chatting online. Good evening. You're on. Who's this?
Hey, DT, it's Steven.
Hey, Steven. What's going on?
Hey, what's going on? I just wanted to talk to you real quick about Hook. I noticed that he seems like AEW has really been pushing him, and I don't know if you heard Cody Rhodes. He was on the Barstool Wrestling podcast, and he actually brought this up that Fandango, back when he was in WWE, he had like that little run, and the crowd was like really into him. He said that he hopes that he doesn't want his management, like AEW management, to basically like drop the ball with how everything's going on with Hook. I just wanted to get your thoughts on him, and like what do you think that, like, because he's only 22, so the guy definitely does have like a bright future, and it seems like he's really knocking everything out of the park. I just wanted to get your thoughts on him, and like what do you think, like how far, like as far as a star, do you think that he can be? Will he just be like a mid-card guy, or you think that one day he'll actually be like a main event guy? Well,
he's beaten Fuego del Sol, he's beaten Bear Bronson, he's beaten Aaron Solo. Anywhere else this would possibly be dark matches. They might be, if this was WWE, it might be on like a main event or 205 Live. Look, I've praised the work he's done so far, but he needs to have 20, 30, 50 matches under his belt. He is very small, but if he's used the right way, especially these Taz's son and he's submission, you don't have to be a giant monster. You don't have to even be 250 pounds. He's done good so far, but I keep it in perspective. It's 3 wins against 3 very, subpar, wrestlers. I'm not saying that they're not talented wrestlers, but, they're dark match material. So, but right now, there's a little bit of this aura about him, and that's a good thing. They don't need, put it this way, even though he's doing great, he should not be on Rampage every week or every other week. You could put him in a dark match for the live crowd, but there's a lot of other people on that roster that deserves opportunity as well. So they're doing good, but it's only match 3. It's like when people with Tony D'Angelo, you have one match and people are saying, "Oh, put the title on him," and he only had one match in his whole career. So he's done good so far, but he's got a long way to go.
Yeah, definitely, man. And like I said, I just seen what Cody Rhodes was talking about, and that was like one of the things that he said was he's just comparing like how like the crowd's just getting behind him to like his Fandango run. I mean, I agree with you. It's only been like 3 matches, but for me, I've just been surprised at like how everybody's just like been behind like the character and everything like that. Mm-hmm. And I'm just curious to see like how far it's gonna go, or if I'm hoping that like like the crowd doesn't flame him out after like a little bit and stuff like that. But I just wanted to get your thoughts on that.
Well, let me just say this. I don't remember exactly what year Fandango debuted with the music. I'm looking at it right now. It was around 2016, around there. Johnny Curtis was wrestling for 16, 17 years already. So you're comparing a wrestler that has 3 matches under his belt to someone who had a 16-year career already. So yeah, I don't compare. Oh, Fandango was 2013. So Fandango was in wrestling for 14 years already, and Hook has had 3 matches. It's not the same.
And one last thing, I'm going to hang up definitely after this because I want other people to call in. Yesterday, I know you did like the results for just talking a little bit about Battle for the Belts. I don't know if you've seen, but Danny Garcia, I guess, attacked Sami Zayn after the match. And I guess now they're promoting that Sami Zayn's going to be facing Danny Garcia. So it seems like whatever's going on with Cody Rhodes, because they didn't, like you talked about, they didn't really say if he has COVID or not. It seems like he's going to have like the title at least maybe into like next week. And I don't know if they're going to continue it on like after that or anything like that.
We'll
but
see. We'll see
Sam.
We'll see Sammy Guevara versus Daniel Garcia at least once, and then we'll see. The thing is, they want to prolong this. Cody versus Sammy Guevara, title versus title. It may not happen for a month. So, if they decide to keep Cody off of TV for an extended period of time, which is going to piss off a lot of people because it's not going to be a COVID issue anymore. But, Danny Garcia versus Sammy Guevara would be a fun match. But there's no question Cody versus Sammy title for title is what they're looking for. So since we know that that's the ultimate match, anybody that faces Sammy is going to lose.
Yeah.
So it'll be fun. It'll be fun, but we already know what the outcome will be.
Oh, definitely. But thanks for taking the call, man. And
much love.
Whenever you have the phone lines open, I'll definitely try to call in. I will try to be active in the chat. And I'll just try to ask more questions when you're not like taking calls or anything like that, because I want everybody else to have a chance. So thanks, DT.
Very cool. Have a good night. Take care.
You too.
All right. Yeah, look, it's 3 matches. We like what we see so far. That's a good thing. You look at some NXT wrestlers that only have 5-10 matches under their belt. Yes, you can look at it the same way. But we got to keep it in perspective. Could he be a big star down the line? Sure. Anything is possible. We'll see what happens. But all right, let me open the phone lines once again. 225-366-8669 or 833-366-8686. Hey, you're on. Who's this?
Yo, DT, can you hear me?
Yes.
This is Alex, the Green Lion himself.
Hey, Alex, what's going on?
Good. Long time no see.
Yeah, same here.
Yeah. What are you up to? How was your holidays?
It was all right. Just kept it on the low because of this COVID Omicron going around. Trying not to get sick because, my office, I'm needed there and I can't afford to take any days off. But, just taking it easy.
Yeah, same for me. I already tested myself, so I'm good to go. So I'm negative. I'm healthy as well.
Good.
Yeah. Couple questions. Like, me, once again, I'm a flashback person. I just want to take you back from 2014 when WWE Network aired on 2014. What was your opinion of the Legends House?
I loved it. Some of it was over scripted, but I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it very much. I wish they would have come back with a second one, and they never did. To see how many legends who are now passed that were on there, it's a little, it's not mind-boggling because they were older already, but it was good. It was good. You know, the Pat Patterson stuff, I've said this before. I mean, we knew about Pat Patterson's sexuality. And, you know, when he did the reveal, I mean, it's a formal reveal, which makes it very important. But yeah, I remember when TMZ covered it and everything like that, and they're acting like nobody ever knew and this and that. So, you know, it was a little bit, you know, but the show itself, I enjoyed it very much. You know, Tony Atlas was priceless. Piper, Pat Patterson. I mean, you go Hillbilly Jim, which I was never really a big fan of. He had a serious satellite radio show many, many years ago that I used to tune into once in a while. But Legends House was good. I enjoyed it. I wish there would have been another season.
I agree. But one part of it was is everybody in the Legends House, like, you know, you've probably seen it. You know, a lot of episodes. My second favorite episode was the one they were cooking barbecue, which that makes me hungry. And the thing that was really everybody in the Legends roster saying Tony Atlas is a pain in the ass, because Tony Atlas, man, I'm not a fan of him. It's just that he's got issues. He's got problems. He's got problems, in my opinion.
Oh, you know, I like Tony Atlas. He's a character. And there's a lot of, you have to be a character in order to be a wrestling character. I mean, some people are no nonsense and everything, but, you know, Tony Atlas is character. He's got some wild fetishes, but he's gone through a lot of problems, battled a lot of demons, but, you know, he's still alive and well. And, you know, I have nothing against Tony Atlas at all.
Did you see him with other show with this channel called Boston Wrestling something? It had Marty Jannetty in it. It had John Cena Sr. in it. I don't know if you've seen the episode. There's a channel on YouTube. It's called Boston Wrestling or something.
No, I remember when they, you know, I think there was like a VH1 or an MTV show where they showed him homeless and everything. But yeah, I haven't watched any Boston Wrestling stuff. No.
True Life?
I don't know. That could be it. But the Boston Wrestling YouTube, no, I haven't watched any of it.
It's on YouTube right now.
Yeah, I haven't watched any of it.
Oh, it's shocking.
Yeah.
Yeah. And second question, this is the last one. This is a blah, blah, blah question for you. What is your opinion of Gordon Ramsay?
He's a character. I think he's a good, you know, he knows his food. No, he knows his food, but, you know,
I know.
I realize even when we were talking about Robert Irvine the other day, Gail Kim's husband, they have to be over dramatic. They have to get controversial. I'm not into those food shows anymore. I used to be huge on Bar Rescue and huge on Robert Irvine, you know, with him trying to repair the restaurants. But, you know, it's to me, it's just another form of reality TV.
Did you see the episode? Did you see Kitchen Nightmare back then? Because I don't remember that when I was in high school.
Remember that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I don't remember that.
It was on Fox. That was in 2011.
Yeah, I don't know.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Anyway, so what is your one last one? I mean, why are they putting Johnny Knoxville in the Royal Rumble this year? Which is like, I don't know. Well,
he's got a movie coming out, and they just want to do a little cross promotion. That's it. I mean, you know, he's liked. He's a wrestling fan. I mean, look, when a celebrity is a wrestling fan, I tolerate it a little bit more. He's going to be in there for a few moments. It's going to be some comedy, and you know that'll be it. You know, it's not going to be as embarrassing as Drew Carey.
Yeah, he's probably going to be eliminated like the same as the Bushwhackers, in my opinion.
Yeah, he won't be in there that long. He'll probably he may eliminate somebody, you know, shocking, but he'll get eliminated pretty quick.
Yeah. This is the last one. I'm very apologize for that one. Do you think WWE and MTV will work together in the future? Because they did in the Attitude Era when Sunday Night Heat was used to be on MTV at the time. So do you think they'll get along?
It depends. It depends on what's available. I mean, we had Total Bellas, Total Divas, so if there is a reality show or something that could be worked out between the two, anything is possible. Just right now, I don't see it. Right now, I think they're just concerned about their network. They're not doing movies anymore. So I would say not right now, but anything is possible in the future.
Yeah, the only reason I ask because I love MTV, and they'll let you hopefully you remember this, but you do remember. But it was then when they did it on the very first Tough Enough, they did it on MTV. That was like
Sure.
I remember that when I was a kid.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
Anyway,
there's been a cross promotion with MTV going back to WrestleMania 1. I mean, there's been many wrestling moments on MTV. It's got to fit on both sides, and it seems like it would be a reality TV show if that were to happen right now.
Yeah, I mean they're now doing the marathons now on MTV, which they need to change up. In my personal opinion.
Yeah, that's all they really could offer right now. So.
Yeah. All right, DT. It's good to hear from you, and thanks for the question.
Yeah, you're welcome. Have a good night.
Yeah, you too. Have a good night to you. Happy New Year's.
Same to you. Happy New Year. All the best.
All right. Bye-bye.
Yeah, MTV, it's not what it used to be. I don't see that happening, but hey, you're on. Who's this?
Hey, Rams fan.
Hey, Rams fan, what's going on?
Hey, one question. I'm just going to let my question out, and
Sure.
then I'm going to hang up, and then you can answer it.
All right.
Okay?
Sure.
Okay. So, I used to listen to Bruce Pritchard. That's the mistake. That's mistake number one. And he used to say that Vince McMahon gave opportunities, not guarantees. Do you still think that holds truth in 2022?
Yes.
Have a good day, DT. Have a good day, everybody.
You too, Rams fan. All right. I like Rams fan. In and out. Bam, bam. Thank you, ma'am. Okay. I'm saying this without any political correctness or incorrectness, without any agenda. WWE will give opportunity. But the length of that opportunity is not what it used to be. What a lot of people seem to not realize, and I use this little phrase. I said the other day, the ring of uproar about, some people being released in NXT, the ring of uproar. Gabe Sapolsky, gone. You look at some NXT stars, Timothy Thatcher, gone. You look at some wrestlers, in 2021 released, 2020 released. And what you are starting to see, Chelsea Green, Deonna Purrazzo, WWE definitely made some mistakes with some of their releases, no question. But what you have noticed is that a plethora, and listen close what I'm about to say, a plethora of signings that they have done over the last 3.5 years have been wrestlers on the indie circuit, from Pro Wrestling Guerrilla to Evolve to Ring of Honor to whatever fed you want to come up with. And those feds, when you watch those wrestlers perform in those feds, they performed in front of 3 rows of fans, 150 people. These promotions never seem to draw. And what happens is they have all the ability in the world, but for some reason, they still couldn't get hundreds of people to turn out to see them perform. And what happens is they come into NXT, they come into WWE, they come into the Performance Center, and WWE is trying to take a wrestler with all the ability in the world, but for some reason, only would perform in front of 100, 200, 300 fans if you're lucky. And they got to turn him into someone who's appealing for hundreds of thousands of fans, millions of fans across the globe. And what happens is you look on social media, you'll see 100, 200, 500, 1,000 fans gushing and glamoring over a particular wrestler, but that's still only 100, 300, 500, 1,000 fans. You need someone who appeals to the masses. And what happens is you realize you have Bobby Fish, Adam Cole, Kyle O'Reilly, Timothy Thatcher, Keith Lee, a whole bunch of these wrestlers, Danny Burch, 2.0. You look at all of these wrestlers, and for some reason, and a lot of it's creative's fault. A lot of it is WWE creative's fault. But in a lot of ways, these wrestlers never showed that they could be these bigger stars that could perform in front of thousands. Now, I have nothing against 2.0, but let's be honest. How many people that go to an AEW show are going specifically for 2.0, other than relatives or very close friends? Probably nobody. They'll enjoy their work, but people aren't going to see them. People will go to see a lot of other wrestlers, and that's the difference. All the wrestlers that they let go, how many of them since 2020, other than maybe Bray Wyatt, Braun Strowman, and a few others, for the most part, a majority of the people that were let go within NXT, people were not coming in droves to pay to see them. With Adam Cole, he did everything in NXT. There was nothing else for him to do. So I don't blame him for leaving. Kyle O'Reilly, Bobby Fish, they did a boatload the last couple of years in NXT. It could be the similar situation. There isn't much left for them to do. Johnny Gargano, same thing. Johnny Gargano comes back. If he can feud with some of the stars that are being built right now, but for the most part, he's done so much the last couple of years. Who are these equal feuds on equal playing grounds? They're trying to develop the stars of tomorrow. So you got somebody who is this talented and a majority of them that are like this. So that's the problem. And remember what I said on Twitter, that only got about 15 likes because it's not sexy. WWE stock in 2018 went from about, I don't have the exact numbers in front of me, but I know this is pretty much on point. In 2018, WWE stock went from about $26 a share to $95 a share. They made billions. So what did they do in 2018 to 2019? They went on a massive signing spree. You go on Google, type in WWE signings 2018. You will see Performance Center. You'll see a group of people after a group of people after a group of people. And you do see Omos. You do see Humberto Carrillo. You do see Riddle. But you also see a boatload of people from the indies that drew flies. So what happens? They keep a couple. They let go a bunch of others. Now we get COVID. Now the stock goes from $96 down to $30. And you have COVID on top of it. So WWE has all this crazy amount of signings from 2018 to 2019, and the stock goes down, and we're in COVID. What do? You're a $1 billion publicly traded company. You cannot keep everybody on the payroll. They started cutting everybody who is not proven that any fans are willing to pay to see them. Some were creative disasters. WWE fucked up Karrion Kross. WWE fucked up Keith Lee. There's no question. But for the most part, you got to look at it as business. You can't just go on the emotional things out there. It's not to bury Triple H. The stock goes up. And let's also remember AEW forming in 2019? Right around that time. So WWE goes on this massive hiring spree, and then AEW comes around, And then they take their eye off the ball with NXT and they try to make NXT a third brand, an alternate brand. How many fans out there have you heard say, oh, I used to love when NXT was the third brand, the alternate brand from Raw and SmackDown? It should have never been that. It should have always been developmental. And they shied away from there. They have no OVW. If they had another developmental, then you could have kept NXT the way it was. But they realize, fuck, we turned NXT into what we don't want it to be because it's not making that money and it's not developing people like it used to. What it's doing is it's bloating the payroll, and you got all these indie guys getting paid very, very comfortably, performing in front of 200 people, and the ratings are only 600,000, and there's almost no merchandise, no memorabilia being sold, and you're going to keep that? No. So Bruce Pritchard saying that they give opportunity, absolutely. But when you have Roman Reigns, when you got Brock Lesnar, when you got your core group of guys, Seth Rollins, Kevin Owens, Sami Zayn, The New Day, The Usos, Charlotte Flair, Sasha Banks, Bianca Belair, you could get through 6 months a year worth of programming with just those guys. So you give opportunity, but if they don't show that they are going to be larger than life, big time stars that people will pay to see, they will let them go. They will let them go. And there's nobody out there as big as WWE that's going to offer them that kind of coin. That's why AEW, when they offer their contracts, the contracts are this big. But AEW gives freedom. We can only give you this much. But you could stream. You could cameo. You could go on OnlyFans. You could do autograph signing. You could do virtual signing. Do whatever you want. Just on our days, you need to be available. I hope I answered it. Very, very good. So, I know it's a little boring, but I'd rather give you the truth. Hey, you're on. Who's this?
Hey, DT. It's AS7607.
Hey,
how are you?
What's going on?
I wanted to comment about hearing about Charlotte Flair entering herself in the Royal Rumble as champion.
Yes.
No, I understand there's some that are like, they're annoyance of like, why in the world is Charlotte Flair going into the Royal Rumble when she's already champion? I mean, first of all, this is not the first time a champion has gone into the Rumble. Hogan, from if I can remember correctly, Hogan was champion and he won the Rumble. And then
did Roman Reigns, wasn't there one year, I didn't mean to interrupt you, but wasn't there a year with Roman Reigns, wasn't like 40 against 1? Wasn't that the theme?
Yeah, 29 against 1.
Yeah. So we've seen it before. I think this is designed to create a quick feud for Charlotte Flair because Tony Storm is gone. Sasha Banks is injured. So I think the only reason why Charlotte is in the Royal Rumble is someone is going to eliminate her. And on that next SmackDown, she will go on the mic and belittle the person who eliminated her. And there is your match.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. I actually didn't think of it that way. Thank you for correcting that. I know Lesnar was champion at Royal Rumble 2020 and McIntyre eliminated him, and so that really set the tone for what was to come. Yeah. I mean that makes perfect sense. Yeah.
Sure. I mean, look, it's Charlotte Flair. Whether people like her or they don't like her, she's one of the top women in wrestling. Why pass up that opportunity? I mean, you put, a celebrity in there instead. Charlotte Flair being in the Royal Rumble will be fun. There'll be some interesting interaction. We might even see her go at it with someone that we would not normally see. Maybe we'll see her go at it with Lita a little bit. A lot of people have always wanted to see Charlotte and I think Trish, which I know it's not going to happen, but I think it's strictly gonna lead to somebody eliminating her, and that'll be the immediate feud without having to come up with this elaborate storyline.
Yeah, you earlier had brought up Fandango. I was actually at the Raw for WrestleMania in 2013 at the Izod Center that night, and the majority of the crowd was a UK crowd, and from start to finish, I laughed so hard I was crying. I mean, the fans were more entertaining than the show itself.
Yeah. I mean, that's what wrestling is about. It's about having a good time. That's really what it is. It's having a good time. I mean, we sometimes live vicariously through some wrestlers, but at the end of the day, it's about having a good time. And if the fans, are really into it, sometimes they go into business for themselves, and if they're really bored in a match, you'll see them do the wave. And I know the wrestlers get very upset at that, but I love it when the fans are part of the show as well. I mean, sometimes it went a little overboard. I mean, it would get a little bit nerve-wracking to see it with Ring of Honor or TNA with the forced chants just to chant. I mean, but when you watch crowds really having a good time, just having a ball, I mean, it just makes it that much more fun.
I mean, the pop that Dolph Ziggler got the night he cashed in and won the belt. Yeah. Oh my God, that place went nuts. Yeah. I mean, they were asking for it, and when his music hit, everybody lost it. I mean, like this was it. This was gonna be the night. This was gonna be the night he cashed in.
Yeah. If the crowd didn't pop, nobody would really be talking about that moment ever again. I mean, the fact that eruption. I mean, even Triple H. I think last week was the the 24-year anniversary or 25-year anniversary?
No, the 20th anniversary.
The 20th. Oh, yes, that's right. The quad injury, 20 years. Yeah. When he came back, I was doing a hotline at that time, and I have still one of the episodes from that week, and people that were in attendance said they never heard an eruption like that. It is to this day, it is one of the loudest pops in the history of wrestling. And without that crowd reaction, it would be a memorable moment, but not on this level. That crowd pop is what took it to an epic level.
I'm definitely looking forward to the Royal Rumbles. I mean, I always look forward to it. I must have seen the 92 Rumble more times than any other.
Yeah, me too.
Because that's definitely my favorite.
Rumble is always good. I mean, I think some people just take the fun out of it, like complaining about the women's Rumble. We still got 11 people in those spots. We filled 7 of those spots yesterday, and if it ends up being anywhere near those 7, the Rumble match is going to be stacked. We're getting some great matches. We're getting some fantasy matches on top of it. You can't ask for anything more. I mean, I'm really looking forward to the Rumble. It's going to be a good show.
I have heard that Sasha was supposed to be the winner this year, but I mean, we've had Sasha versus Charlotte one too many times. Been there, done that, move on. I mean, let's have Charlotte get an opponent that she's never gone up against, who will really take her to the limit and tell a story. I mean, it's yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we still got to find out who the rest of the participants are, and doesn't mean that whoever wins is not going to take on Becky. And I don't even know if Becky's still going to be the champion by WrestleMania time. So Charlotte may not even be the champion by WrestleMania time. Imagine if Charlotte wins the Rumble and then she loses her championship before WrestleMania. Then that means she's got the title shot at WrestleMania. A lot of people don't think that far ahead, but Charlotte could literally win the Rumble, lose her title before Mania, and then because she won the Rumble, she still gets a title shot at Mania. So something like that could happen also. But I don't know if Sasha was supposed to win. It's interesting that only came out after they realized Sasha was not going to be in the Rumble. You know, like they didn't know before her injury. I mean, what do they think happened? Like Sasha got injured. It's like, okay, I might as well just tell people I don't know I was supposed to win it. You know, I just don't buy that.
I agree 100%, for sure.
Well, we'll see what happens. Yeah, I mean, if Mickey James were to win, that would be pretty wild if they ever did that. So, but I'm not sure if that'll happen. But we got to see who the other 11 people are going to be.
Thank you so much, DT, for taking the
What's
time.
left
Really.
of it.
Yeah, thank you so much.
You're welcome. Be well. Take care.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thanks so much. Have a good one.
You too.
Bye-bye.
Hey, you're on. Who's this? Hey, you're on. Who's this?
DT, it's your old buddy, the Guardian of Chaos.
Hey, Chaos. What's going on?
Well, I want to start off by saying this, DT, and I'll keep it quick. First off, how are you feeling? I'm sending prayers and light, my friend, and I hope you're feeling well because I know you're going through a lot.
Yeah, I'm pretty good. You know, I'm not going to lie, you know, because of what happened with my dad and my mom, you know, like I was a little bit more nervous about that angiogram only because it runs in my family. My uncle died right before a stress test. My father, you know, we know what happened to him a year ago, my mom. So when you see it happen on both sides, usually it only happens on one side of the family, but for me, it happened on both sides. My grandmother died of a heart attack. My father, you know, like it has his issues. So that rattled me a little bit more. I kept it in. But, you know, the fact that, you know, a lot of the news was positive, you know, I'm feeling better. I can't complain.
Well, the cup is, as we know, DT, especially in this day and age, in this new world, the cup is always half full. So I'm glad to hear that. And I'll continue to say prayers for you, DT. Like I said, you're in my house 3 or 4 nights a week. I'm loving the content and the material. And I'm going to be quick here. I'm going to ask you a 3-parter and then get off the air because I want the guys and gals in the chat to see if they can chime in on this too. I'm not going to go back to the 80s because then you and I are showing our age. I want your top 3. Now, I'm not going to put any limitations on it. I want your top 3 from the 90s, top 3 from the 2000s, and then the top 3 from the last decade. So that's 3 decades, the last 3 decades, your top 3. You could either go tag team or single, doesn't matter. I love everybody in the chat. Everybody stay safe out there and stay sane mentally, spiritually, physically in this world. And I'll talk to you soon, DT. I'm waiting to hear your answers. I'm always here.
Now, let me ask you a question. When you say top 3,
go ahead, brother.
You say top 3, you mean my top 3 favorites or
Your
who I
top
thought was
3
top 3 at the game?
Well, to go top 3 in the game is very subjective, and it's everybody's opinion. So that might take up the rest of the show, DT. So we'll go with top 3 favorites of yourself and people in the chat, the guys and gals in the chat. I would love to talk to 80s, DT, but I'm dating myself. So I appreciate it, brother, for giving me the time.
Much love.
I'll talk to you soon.
You got it. Take care.
God bless you, Bill.
All right. Well, I'm going to give him 80s also. I don't care about revealing. I mean, 80s. All right. 80s. Terry Funk, because it culminated with Ric Flair in 89 with the I Quit match. So Terry Funk would be for me for the 80s. Jimmy Snuka would be mine from the 80s. And I'm going to stick with Magnificent Morocco simply because I loved Morocco in 81, 82, 3, 4. And even though by 85, Morocco started to decline and he had done a little bit too much in the working out department, the amount of entertainment that Morocco gave me for those 5 years could go over the whole decade. So those are my 3 for the 80s. For the 90s, I got to go with Cactus Jack. I freaking, his run in ECW in 95 was just amazing. His feud with Sting was awesome. Him becoming Mankind and, just, I have to go with Mick Foley as one of the three in the 90s. In the 90s also, I got to go with Bret Hart. Bret Hart, yes, he was champion at some times with WWF was maybe a little bit on the decline, but that was for a lot of different reasons. It was not his fault. Bret Hart was awesome, absolutely awesome. And in the 90s, he was spectacular. I know some people are probably coming back and say, DT, I can't believe you didn't put Backlund for the 80s. Backlund would be in my top 5, but not top 3. So we have Mick Foley, we have Bret Hart, and boy. Wow. That is really, really tough. I probably would go with Sting or The Undertaker. You know what? I got to go with The Undertaker. I probably would go with The Undertaker. Only because, he started the Dead Man in 91 and how he changed his persona. And then he went to the corporate ministry, which was in the 90s still. So, yeah, I'm going to go with Mick Foley, Bret, and The Undertaker. Don't get me wrong. Look, Piper, I freaking loved Piper. I mean, you could not really see tonight. It's dark back there, but Piper would probably be 4 or 5 for me in the 80s. We're just doing 3. And yeah, we can mix and match some people. In the 2000s, boy, the 2000s are a little on the vague side because we're going to 2010. Oh boy. WCW had gone off the air. ECW had gone. You know what? In the 2000s, I'll go with, I don't know if I should go with Edge and Christian. I want to put a tag team in there. Go Dudleys, Hardys. I might, you know what? I think I'm going to lean towards the Dudleys, believe it or not. Because they did some wild shit in the 2000s. ECW was still around for about a year. Yes, they were pretty much gone by then. But I put the Dudleys in there. I would put, for the 2000s, I'd put Kurt Angle in there. Because not only is some of his WWE run would be in there, but his TNA run would be in there as well. I would put Kurt Angle in there as well. And as a third, Jericho. I was a Jericho-holic. He came to the WWF in 99. It was amazing. It fell flat for a little bit, but then it picked up. So I got to go with Jericho as number 3. For the 2010s, CM Punk, although, when people ask me CM Punk or Randy Orton is definitely much higher. Sorry. Randy Orton is, to me, a locker room leader. CM Punk, but CM Punk is not designed to be, CM Punk loves this business, but I don't know. It's 2 totally different animals. I look at Randy Orton higher. But I enjoyed CM Punk more as a wrestling fan in 2010s. I would go CM Punk. See, I loved Eddie Guerrero, but I don't know if I would put Eddie Guerrero in any of my top 3s. Top 5, probably. Top 10, absolutely. But as far as that I had to drop everything and watch that person, see, you got to understand something. Me, when I was a kid, I was a Yankee fan until 1981. Then I became a Mets fan. And I've been pretty much a Mets fan ever since. But as a kid, and this is going to be outdated, but anybody that's a baseball fan, you'll be able to relate to it. When I was a kid, when Reggie Jackson would step up to the plate, it didn't matter what I was doing in my house. Doesn't matter doesn't matter. I would sit on the edge of my bed and watch his at bat. And sometimes it was just epic to see. Even when he struck out, sometimes it was epic. But when I give top three, those are people that I stop what I'm doing and watch their work. So for 2010s, I go with CM Punk. 2010s. Probably Brock, even though Brock had left for a little bit. But Brock, I've always said, Brock is on TV and he always ups the rating a little bit. And, this is off the top of my head. I'm sure after the show is over, I'm going to be like, I forgot about this person. Third person. 2010s. I don't know if I would. See, I don't want to put Kurt Angle twice. You know what? I'm leaning towards Cena or AJ Styles, because I became a fan of AJ Styles in the 2010s. I thought his work was excellent. Bryan Danielson, I'll be honest with you, and I'm not one of these AEW gushers. I could say this with the absolute honesty. Bryan Danielson is my favorite performer in AEW right now. If you, for 2020s, which is already, this is the third year in a decade, Bryan Danielson is at the top of my list. I don't know if Bryan Danielson would be in my top three in the 2010s. So, AJ Styles just consistently doing it. And that's someone that I would not have expected to become a big fan of. Seth Rollins, believe it or not, if it wasn't for the authority crap, I would probably, you know what? No. I take it back. For 2010s, Bray Wyatt. Got to put Bray Wyatt on that list. I loved his stuff in Florida Championship Wrestling, even though it was more Forrest Gump accent. Bray Wyatt, I have to put in the top three. So Bray Wyatt, I put in the top three for the 2010s as well. So, but Bryan Danielson right now, top of his game. Easily my favorite in AEW right now. Does anybody remember who my original favorite was in AEW? Major shout out if anybody remembers, because this person was my favorite wrestler in AEW for about a good year and a half. Does anybody remember? Props if anybody remembers. Very, very curious if anybody remembers. I used to say it because see, Joe knew. Joe knew. Chrizelle knew as well. Puffy 89 too. It was Ortiz. Just to show you how things have changed in AEW. I mean, for some reason, I just loved his work. I would just say it all the time. And Keith Lee was my favorite in NXT. For about a year or so. So, Herbert Doherty. Yeah, hard to choose when you look back at all that talent. I mean, if I had time to look at, wrestlers, just look at the list of the top wrestlers from each decade, maybe I would change something. But, there's some that, come to mind immediately. There's no way Terry Funk is not in my list for the 80s. There's no way Snuka is not on my list. It's a shame what ended up happening, but yeah. So, All right, we're going to start bringing this home because we're almost at the 2-hour mark. So I will open the phone lines for about 5 more minutes. Then we will get out of here. Now, don't forget, this is not to screw anybody over. Don't forget, starting this Thursday, the live Q&A episodes are going to be open for members only, channel members. Not doing it as a money grab or anything like that, but I do have channel members subscriptions. There's 2 tiers. One is $1.99, one is $4.99. Believe me, I do have bills to pay as well. And nobody is ever forced to become a channel member. But if you are a channel member, I definitely want to give as much as I can to you back. And I asked a lot of channel members, what's something you would want added as, as like just something for being a member. And they wanted a Q&A show, not one where they typed in questions and I would just read them out after. A lot of people like to chat live. They like to bounce off of each other in the chat room. So I said, okay, how do I incorporate a show for them? So I decided Thursdays live will be channel members. But as soon as the show is over, it will be available for everybody. So just keep in mind for that for Thursday. And honestly, I'm not doing anything different than a lot of other shows are doing out there. But just keep note for Thursday. I don't want anybody to feel shut out. So, but this is what Sunday's for. Sunday, I know it seems a little similar, but on Thursdays we do the retro wrestling stuff. We put some, off-topic, non-wrestling stuff, the growing up Don Tony stuff. So we keep that. Thursday nights are like goofy nights. Thursday nights, it's like smorgasbord, whatever the hell comes up. And I got to start uploading some more wrestling stuff, old hotline stuff, Captain Lenny stuff. No joke. Jim Cornette and Brian Last talked about Captain Lenny the other day. I swear to freaking God, they talked about Captain Lenny last week. I don't remember what topic they were discussing, but they mentioned Captain Lenny. And if any of you heard that clip, that is the same Captain Lenny. And to think the I Like Woman clip, I mean, I got hours of Captain Lenny nonsense. And I've shared some of it on Thursdays already, some of that wild crap. So I never realized how many legends in wrestling knew about this fucker. And I posted a link a couple of weeks ago when we brought it up on Q&A. I posted a link of what he looks like right now. He's very, very frail. He's got to be in his early 80s. He's very, very frail. He's still a nut job. But, that's what it was like being a hotline guy in the 90s. So, yeah, would you have ever thought that I would become like a supporter of Cornette? I mean, there was a period back in the 2010s that I just thought that the guy has lost it. But he's old school, and he'll always be old school. And there's no reason why he can't look at wrestling more in the old traditional sense. And yes, things evolve over the years, but some of his complaints are definitely spot on. Not everything I agree with. There's a lot of things I disagree with as far as their takes, but that's what it's supposed to be all about. Not a catchy tweet like, hey, it's okay to like both promotions. Oh, like. And then the next day, they're right back to ripping people for liking one promotion or the other. No, wrestling should be that we could all have different people that we like, dislike. So, all right, let's take another call. Hey, you're on. Who's this?
Oh, man, the Larry King Live of Pro Wrestling Podcast. What up, Don Tony? It's Kevin Milwaukee.
Hey, Kevin, what's going on?
Oh, man, a great show as always. You're doing a great job. Rob Van Dam's my favorite wrestler all time. That story you told a while ago about that accident you had and when he sent you the message was very cool. I was wondering if you had any other cool Rob Van Dam stories. The most underestimated wrestler ever in the history of the business.
Yeah.
That guy could do it all.
Yeah. I mean, the personal story that I had from my car accident is my favorite one of all time. I'll give you one. Okay, I'll give you one. I was sitting front row. I don't remember if it was Guilty as Charged 2000, but at that time, around that time period, I was selling tickets for ECW. In return, I would get front row tickets. I would get some extra tickets that I could either give away or sell and keep the money. I would be able to go backstage and hang out and, sometimes meet some of the guys. I met Paul Heyman and others a few times. And one time, I think Rob Van Dam was facing Scotty Anton. And I was sitting front row, and it's on video. I just don't remember which event it was. It was at the Hammerstein. But he is taking on Scotty Anton, and Scotty Anton gets thrown outside the ring. Rob Van Dam does a high spot. He goes outside the ring as well. And Rob Van Dam picks up his head. He looks at me and the guys that were right next to us, and he winks his eye. He's like, get ready. So Scotty Anton gets up and Rob Van Dam does some crazy suicide dive over the top row into the front row. And I don't remember exactly what the spot was, but it was just funny because it's on a pay-per-view and he just winks to all of us like, okay, you know what to do. And the next thing you know, he just dives and does a crazy ass move. And it's literally right in our lap. So, to see it live is amazing, but to literally have it in your lap is something else. And he was a cool character. I mean, I met him a few times, but, when he sent me that letter and it just so happened that he had gotten married to his ex-wife literally right at the time that I got engaged, and he just writing about it, I was like, oh, that's pretty freaking cool, man. I mean, and I had met him after that, and I thanked him for it, and I said, I don't know if you remember. He's like, sure, I remember. He's like, anytime I talk about my wife, I remember about it. I mean, obviously that marriage didn't work out for him, and neither did for me. But it was very, very cool moments, personal moments. So Rob Van Dam always loved his work, always loved his work. He would probably be
very
in my
awesome.
top 5 I would lean towards the 90s only because I got to enjoy his ECW too. The problem is that he really didn't start catching on with ECW until around, I would say, 97, right around Barely Legal, because Barely Legal, didn't he take on Lance Storm? I don't remember if he took on Lance Storm, but he didn't even have the Mr. Monday Night yet. He was teasing that he was going to leave ECW to work on Mondays. So it was very late in the decade. It was like 97. So if I was going to put Rob Van Dam in a top 5, I would probably be forced to put it in the 2000s.
And I remember when he was feuding with Scotty Anton, because Scotty Anton turned on him here in Milwaukee at Hardcore Heaven 2000 in the Jerry Lynn versus RVD Part 3 match.
Yeah.
That Hardcore Heaven 2000 show I went to, I've been to about 25 wrestling events here in Milwaukee, and there's only about 1,800 people at the rave that night, but it was the best atmosphere. It was the best crowd ever for any event I've ever been to. Summerfest, concert shows. It was electric, Don Tony.
Let me tell you, when I sat front row at Hammerstein for those bunch of ECW events when I was selling tickets for them, I sat right next to the infamous, the regulars that everybody always saw in the ECW arena. Straw Hat guy, the other guy with the glasses and everything. And they were the coolest people. I mean, nice. You would have thought by the year 2000 that they would think their shit didn't stink. You would think that they would have thought they were celebrities. And, they were like just hanging out and cheering, having a good time and cracking jokes and this and that and talking to all of us and just acting like regular ECW fans. And the atmospheres were always spectacular. Always loved the atmosphere.
Absolutely. Well, keep up the good work, Don
Thank
Tony.
you.
You're a man of the people. You always have a friend in Milwaukee.
Always. Thank you.
And I love you, bro.
Take care. Happy New Year. Need I say more? Great memories, man. Great memories. Love that. I have the video of it. Too bad we didn't have iPhones 20 years ago. Because, man, that would have been some awesome footage to just be sitting front row and then just grabbing it. I remember plugging my wrestling hotline at that time. And if anybody out there, I think you'll see the sign the most on Guilty as Charged 2000. If you look at my sign at ringside, plugging my hotline, I swear to God, I was never one to make signs. Instead of me just putting 303-4444, which was my old number, I wrote like 30 words on the old tag. I wrote like, for all your latest wrestling news, call the Extreme Wrestling for whatever it was. And when I look back on it on video, I'm like, that looks horrible. I was going to say a different word, but we don't want to trigger people. It was horrible. But let me tell you something. It's very, very cool to be able to meet people. That's why, like I said, oh, you know what? Yeah, okay. I don't like finishing shows, leaving anything unturned. I want to finish one thing. Somebody early in the show mentioned Moose versus Roman Reigns or Moose versus Brock Lesnar. And I want to say this with the utmost respect intended for Moose. I understand Moose playing a heel, and I understand him with the Impact title thinking that he is the best champion. Of course he's going to do that. But as far as the idea of Moose taking on Roman or Brock, this is my honest thoughts on it. When Moose tweets today that, oh, he claims he's the tribal chief, the head of the table, well, I am this. If I was still the jackass trolling wrestling fan, I would have went on his Twitter today and I would have posted a screenshot of Impact's ratings this week. And I would have wrote, you ain't no needle mover. Impact does 83,000 viewers. You do not brag when you only have 83,000 viewers. You're comparing 1.6 million, 2 million to 86,000. So honestly, for a few people, it might be a little bit of a fantasy match, but no. When Moose, that's like I say. I mean, you think wrestlers that are in high-profile spots in Impact, and they only drew 80,000 viewers, 70,000 viewers, if I was Vince running that company, I'd release half of them. They're not needle movers. None of them are needle movers. What the fuck needle movers are they? You know? Seeing wrestlers from Ring of Honor showing up yesterday was fun and everything, but Ring of Honor is just Ring of Honor in name only. If Impact is bringing them in to work and they want to do the Ring of Honor storyline, that's fine with me. That's fine with me. You know, WWE did like an Extreme Invasion, you know, around 2005 when they were bringing back ECW. They were all under contract. And it was the perception that they were part of the old ECW. There's nothing wrong with that. When they did the WCW storyline and Shane McMahon, you know, was doing what he was doing, you know, they tried to give the suspension of disbelief that this was the outside, you know, coming in. I have nothing wrong with it. But to see Moose saying that stuff, you know, I don't post sarcastic shit to wrestlers anymore because they work hard. They work their asses off. And, you know, I try to show a little respect by just keeping my mouth shut. But if I was still the asshole trolling wrestling fan that I used to be, I would have posted that screenshot of the rating and say, needle mover, you are not. You know, or I would have just posted it and, you know, whatever. But that's how I look at it. But anyway, we'll take one more call. I know someone is calling in. Hey, you're on. Who's this? We lost him. We'll take one more call. I'll leave the line open. Hey, you're on. Who's this?
Hey, DT, is Dave Frost. How you doing?
Hey, Dave. What's going on?
I'm all right, man. I'm hanging in there. How you doing? How's everything?
Yeah, not bad. A little crazy right now, but it's all right.
All right, that's good to hear, man. It's good.
By the way, I got your DM
show.
on Patreon, and I think we're gonna work, figure something out this week with you. So
okay,
yeah,
okay, I appreciate that, man.
Yeah. So
well, I wanted to get you a question. It was about the recent loss about John Madden, and I wanted to get your take on it. See, like, what did you remember about him, and what we always remember about John Madden?
I'll put it this way. I have, and I'm looking right at them right now, I have thousands and thousands of baseball games in my collection. One of my collections that I did as a hobby over the years was I built up NBC Game of the Week. And this was baseball in the 80s, mostly little 70s, a little 90s, but I loved the pairing of Joe Garagiola and Vin Scully. In Chicago, I loved the combination of Steve Stone and, Harry Carey. I have hundreds of games. I have hundreds of Chicago White Sox games from the 70s with Harry Carey, and I'm trying to remember his other co-host that was a baseball player. Someone in the chat room might remember his name. He was most infamous for, I think he hit a home run and he ran around the bases running backwards. I can't remember his name. He always thought that he was this gigantic athlete. He was very, very conceited. Someone will remember. But I'm getting to John Madden with this. I have games that I watch the games only to hear their play-by-play. With the Mets, I always loved when I had Ralph Kiner and Tim McCarver calling games. Jimmy Pearsall. Thank you, Dorian Mesa. Jimmy Pearsall. I can't tell you how much I love watching old White Sox games. Just listen to Harry Carey and Jimmy Pearsall covering it. For me, as a football fan and a Giants fan, Pat Summerall and John Madden are not even close my favorite duo calling football in my lifetime. I have so many Giants games just to hear John Madden and Pat Summerall on commentary. I loved John Madden's work. I loved how he would just like draw shit on the screen. I loved how he would just talk about food, and he was just a character. And then when they came out with the video games, Madden football, a lot of people think Madden football was like from the early 2000s. I remember Madden football from I think it was 1992. So
actually started on the late 80s.
Yeah, for me, it was Madden football from 92. And I just loved his work. I mean, look, we all got to go at some point, and John Madden has not been visible for many, many years. He can't do it, couldn't do it anymore. So, we feel terrible when somebody officially says goodbye, but growing up as a football fan, loved John Madden's work. Easily my favorite play-by-play guy. Him and Pat Summerall were my favorite duo. Even when the Giants weren't playing, they would be on CBS TV, and I would just listen to, their play-by-play, and they made it just that much more fun.
Yeah, man. I mean, that's one of the things that made NFL at that time so entertaining, is that every time you hear John Madden just calling out some commentary on football, he would always make these funny wise ass remarks on certain players, and every time he's doing the drawings and stuff, it would be so fun. It was so funny to watch. And the one thing is that I love that I remember this as a kid. He started doing the whole turducken type of thing as a food. I'm like, turducken? What the hell is that? I was like, oh, it's turkey, it's duck and chicken. I was like, and they made that as a real food. I'm like, that was very interesting. You know what?
To someone, sure, remember?
Yeah.
Good guy.
I was like, you know what? I'm gonna try that someday. I'm gonna try that as a little goal. I'm gonna try that one time. And as far as like for the games, I mean, I've seen a lot of Madden games. I played at least one as a little boy, which was Madden 95 for the Sega Genesis. And it was crazy because like that was the first game that I actually started taking notice on black NFL players at the time. Because like from the previous NFL Madden games, you didn't really see much of the animation in terms of the characters. You only just saw what they looked like and how they were like wearing their sports gear and all that. But by 95, that's when they started like taking up a notch by bringing in more realistic players. But even if it was like very early, they just started to catch on with it, which was good.
Well, the technology at that time, you know, they really couldn't get very detailed, especially when they were trying to do things with instant replays and showing scores from other games. I mean, that was very, very innovative at the time. And to see it get that detailed was incredible. But, you know, once you started getting into the 90s and then you can have a little bit more, you know, memory and they could put a lot more detail in the games, yeah, that's when you started seeing that. So, but those games were awesome, man. Big memories, me and my friends hanging out, my house, their house, just playing Madden football and, you know, the baseball games all day long.
That's awesome. Well, that's all I wanted to ask for you, DT. So I want to get your thoughts. And I want to say just thank you for everything that you're doing. And
much love.
Keep up the good work, man.
You too. Happy New Year. All the best.
Same to you, brother.
Take care.
Take care.
Okay. I'm liking all the calls coming in tonight. I mean, I always like them, but, you know, nice little diverse topics. 10:23 p.m. over here, though. I got to start wrapping this up. So I sincerely apologize for anybody who tried to call in today. I do see that numbers are still calling in, but we got to start wrapping this up because even though the show closes out now, my work is not done. So love the conversation with you tonight. Love all the topics. So fly. Happy anniversary. Oh, and the upgrade. You didn't have to do that, my friend, but I thank you. I thank you. Oh, he is now. So starting tomorrow, we will have him at the head of the table. So I put it in order on there. But listen, I hope everybody has a great night. Sucks that we had to open up with the passing of Bob Saget. I have to be very careful with that after that Love Connection clip. But had a great time tonight. Love answering your questions. I love being interactive. And again, I'm sorry if some of the rants that I do might come off as a little bit boring, not so sexy, but I'm telling you, and you'll hear it here. And anybody that goes back with me, you don't have to go back to 97, but anybody goes back to me. The one thing that you could honestly say is of everything that I've ever talked about, I don't get things wrong. Not bragging, but I take my time and I do research and I try to learn and understand. I don't just have an emotional reaction to Keith Lee being released. Oh, this fucking company, it sucks. Anybody could do that. But to try to understand a little bit further and other things, you know, that sometimes could be very, very boring and unpopular. But I'm telling you, you're going to look back. You're going to look back at a lot of what is going on right now. And you're going to see that there's a lot of an agenda out there. And some people have put their shows on the line to take certain viewpoints, and they need that to flourish. And again, it's just horrible to see that people want to see other people's demise just to be right. And I'm telling you, you're going to look back at it and you're going to see people backtracking and you're going to see things in a much clearer light. And then you're going to say to yourself, man, you know, all this shit that people were feeding was based on emotion, based on agenda, and based on hope, that they hope something turns into this, because then they could say, I see, I told you. you stick to the facts and you do some research, and you usually are never wrong. And you don't have to tell people that you're not wrong. Because trust me, once in a while when I do get something incorrect, there are some people out there that are chomping at the bit. They're like, oh, DT, you said this, you said that, you said Scarlett was going to come back and Karrion Kross was going to be on a losing streak and she's going to come back and turn it around, and it never happened, DT. You're wrong. Until Killer Kross went on his Twitch and said, I was supposed to go on a losing streak and Scarlett was supposed to come back and straighten me out. So if that's the only thing, and some people tried to throw the Bearcat stuff in my face. If you go back to my original tweet, my original comments, I said, if it's a tribute to Bearcat Wright, that's pretty freaking cool. And I'm not going to criticize it. So whatever the reason they came up with that, fine. WWE didn't need to screw with Keith Lee, but they did. You know, they're not perfect and they make a lot of mistakes, no question. But, you know, some of the other topics, I feel like I owe it to you to spit out some facts, to research the stock, to research the hiring spree. People don't realize most of the people released in 20 and 21 and now 22 all hired between 2018 and 2019. And that's when the stock went from $25 a share to almost $100 a share. You have all that extra money. Oh my God, we got 7 rings in the Performance Center. Let's open it up and let's get all these people in there and let's see if we can find some diamonds in the rough. And then AEW comes around and then they're realizing, like, why do we have all these people? And then COVID hits, the stock goes down. I mean, it's not brain surgery. You could figure it out. It's not rocket science. So, all right, everybody, I'm rambling. I'm out of here. Hope you enjoy the rest of your Sunday night. Mish and I will be here tomorrow for Breakfast Soup Raw. We will recap Raw for the most part, unless anything breaks between today and tomorrow. We're pretty much going to stick with Raw and maybe Royal Rumble stuff. I mean, there's no reason for us to repeat topics that we've already talked about. But I hope everybody has a great night. All the best. And on the way out, if you enjoyed tonight's show, hit that like button. It does help. And if you're not a subscriber yet, subscribe. So be well, everybody. Good night. Take care.
As far back as I can remember, I always wanted to be a podcaster.
How come I hear no
For
sound?
me to live any other way was nuts. To me, those goody-good people who work shitty jobs for bum paychecks and took the subway to work every day and worried about their bills.
Why do I hear no sound? I know why I hear no sound. You probably heard the sound, but I didn't hear the sound. I must hear the sound.
As far back as I can remember, I always wanted to be a podcaster. For me to live any other way was nuts. To me, those goody-good people who work shitty jobs for bum paychecks and took the subway to work every day and worried about their bills were dead. I mean, they were suckers. They had no balls. If I wanted something, I just took it. I ran everything. I paid the bills. I paid the host. I even paid the masked maniac. Everybody had their hands out. Everything was for the taking. We always called each other good fellas. You would always hear from somebody. You're gonna like Don Tony. He's all right. He's a good fella. He's one of us. But if you're part of my crew, nobody ever tells you they're gonna get rid of you. It doesn't happen that way. There weren't any arguments or curses like in the movies. See, your haters come with smiles. They come as your friends, the people who've claimed they care the most for your life. And now that's all over. And that's the best part. Today everything is different. There's lots of action. I don't have to wait around for everything like everyone else. Oh, I didn't get the vaccine? Fuck you, vaccine me. Oh, your delivery guy has COVID? Fuck you, feed me. Right after I moved here, I ordered egg noodles and ketchup, and I got spaghetti with meat sauce. I'm no longer an average nobody, while they get to live the rest of their lives like a bunch of schnooks.